Hello. I am Dr. John, and this is the channel where health and longevity meet. Have you ever felt like you're forgetting simple things more often? Or perhaps someone in your family, still young, has started having trouble remembering appointments or even common words? In this video, we'll talk about something serious, but extremely important: the early signs of Alzheimer's in young adults. Yes, this disease doesn't only affect older people, and understanding the first symptoms can make all the difference for your health and the health of those you love. We'll explore how to identify these signs in a clear and practical way, debunking misconceptions and helping you make the best decisions. This video is for you if you care about brain health, especially if there is a family history of Alzheimer's. Watching until the end could be the first step toward protecting your quality of life and encouraging early diagnosis. If you've ever wondered if those memory lapses are just a result of fatigue or if something else is going on, this content is essential for you. So, stay with me until the end and discover how small details can save precious years of your life and the lives of those you love. Early onset Alzheimer's is a term that may surprise many, after all, who associate such a well-known disease that affects elderly people with young individuals in their 30s or 40s. But that's exactly what makes this topic so urgent and necessary. It is a rare, yet real condition that manifests before the age of 65 and has a profound impact on those who experience it. Imagine being at the peak of your career or building your family, and suddenly, your memory starts to fail in an unexpected way. This isn't just fatigue or distraction, it's a warning. To understand this better, think of a computer that starts showing failures even though it's new. Early onset Alzheimer's works in a similar way. It affects the brain functions, like memory, organization, and communication, at a stage in life when these functions are most demanded. This can happen due to genetic factors or specific conditions, such as mutations in genes like PSEN1 or AP. It's a reminder that no one is immune, and knowing about the disease is an essential step in dealing with it. If you've ever had trouble remembering simple details or know someone in that situation, you may be wondering, is this just stress? Early onset Alzheimer's, though frightening, is a condition that can be managed if identified early. The question is, how can we differentiate it from something temporary? This is where we begin to connect the dots with the myths surrounding this condition and understand why many still believe it is exclusive to the elderly. If someone mentioned Alzheimer's, what would your first mental image be? Probably that of an elderly person, perhaps with white hair, struggling to remember the face of a loved one. This association is understandable, but also incomplete. One of the biggest myths about Alzheimer's is the idea that it exclusively affects older people. The truth is that the disease can manifest much earlier, in young adults, creating unique challenges for those in the prime of their lives. This myth persists because most cases do indeed occur after the age of 65, but about 5% of people with Alzheimer's have the early onset form of the disease. This means that a 35-year-old with symptoms might be ignored or misdiagnosed simply because they aren't old enough to have Alzheimer's. And therein lies the danger: a late diagnosis. That's why it's so important to break this stigma and face the reality with attentive and informed eyes. For example, imagine a young executive who starts forgetting important meetings or a 40-year-old mother who can't remember where she placed basic things. It might seem like stress, but what if it's something more serious? The point is that as long as we keep believing Alzheimer's is a disease for the elderly, many people will miss the opportunity to seek help in time. But how can we differentiate common signs of fatigue from the early symptoms of the disease? Forgetting where you placed your keys or someone's name happens to everyone, especially on a busy day. But when these memory lapses become frequent and begin to interfere with your routine, it could be a red flag. In the case of early-onset Alzheimer's, recent memory is most affected. This means that a person might clearly remember an event that happened years ago, but forget what they had for breakfast or why they made a call just moments ago. A classic example is the feeling of walking into a room and not remembering what you went in there for. On its own, this may not be worrisome, but imagine if this starts happening daily and in critical situations, such as forgetting important appointments or where you parked your car in a familiar place. These signs, when combined, create a pattern that can't be ignored. Recognizing this pattern is the first step towards seeking help and preventing the issue from worsening. If you've noticed something similar, whether in yourself or someone close to you, it's important to observe if other symptoms are associated. Memory is just one piece of the puzzle. And when this piece starts to fail, it can affect other areas of life, such as organization and planning. Let's explore this in the next point, where we analyze how early-onset Alzheimer's can interfere with everyday tasks that many consider simple and automatic. Have you ever tried to organize a simple task and suddenly everything feels confusing, as if your mind was in a fog? For those with early-onset Alzheimer's, this feeling can be constant. Planning the day, organizing a work project, or even following a cooking recipe can become a major challenge. The disease affects the ability to process logical steps, making everyday actions seem complicated and disorganized. Imagine a young adult who has always been excellent at their job, but suddenly starts forgetting important deadlines or struggles to prioritize tasks. It's common for these situations to be attributed to overwork or stress, but when they become frequent, they could be an indication of something more serious. Small mistakes, like paying the same bill twice or forgetting to respond to urgent emails, could be early signs of this difficulty in organization. This loss of control over daily tasks can lead to frustration, not only for the person experiencing the problem but also for those around them. If this is happening to you or someone close to you, pay attention. After all, changes in organizational behavior are just another piece of a larger puzzle, which can also include emotional changes. Have you noticed sudden mood swings in someone who was usually balanced? In early-onset Alzheimer's, this is more common than you might think. The person may go from calm to irritated in a matter of minutes or even show anxiety and apathy without an apparent reason. These changes are not just emotional reactions, they are directly related to the chemical and structural changes occurring in the brain due to the disease. For example, a young person who has always been sociable and good-natured might start avoiding meetups with friends or react aggressively to trivial situations. At home, these changes might manifest in frequent arguments or a lack of interest in hobbies that once brought joy. It's easy to attribute these behaviors to stress or everyday problems, but in the context of early-onset Alzheimer's, they are signs that should not be ignored. Moreover, the emotional impact affects not just the person going through it but also close family and friends. If you're facing something similar, be patient with yourself or the person in question. These behaviors are just another piece of the puzzle, which, when looked at alongside other signs, helps form a clearer diagnosis. Imagine being in the middle of a conversation and suddenly forgetting a simple word, like coffee or key. For someone with early-onset Alzheimer's, this may happen frequently. Difficulty finding the right words or even following the thread of a conversation are common signs of the disease. This communication barrier is often frustrating for the person experiencing it, as it directly impacts interactions with friends, colleagues, and family members. A practical example: a young adult might start using vague descriptions like, "that thing to drink," instead of "water" or "tea." In work meetings, they might lose their train of thought in the middle of an important explanation, which could once again be attributed to stress or tiredness. However, these frequent lapses in language are an indication that something more serious is happening. especially when combined with other signs that in addition to forgotten words. There's also the repetition of phrases or difficulty understanding simple instructions. If you or someone close to you is experiencing this, it's time to observe closely. These changes are a clear alert that the brain is facing challenges in processing information. Did you know that early onset Alzheimer's can affect the way a person perceives the world around them? We're not just talking about blurry vision or difficulty reading, but something deeper, related to spatial perception. This might mean stumbling often, difficulty calculating distances, or even confusing objects that are clearly visible. For example, someone may try to pick up a glass and drop it because they underestimated the space between their hand and the object. Changes in spatial perception can be especially concerning for young adults, who usually don't associate these problems with brain health. Imagine driving and struggling to gauge the distance between other cars or interpreting traffic signals, a dangerous situation often seen as inattention or lack of experience. These difficulties, however, are clear symptoms that something deeper might be going on. These changes may be subtle at first, but they tend to intensify over time. If you've noticed similar difficulties in someone or even in yourself, it's crucial to seek a medical evaluation. These signs, combined with the other symptoms mentioned earlier, create a picture that can be clarifying. Early diagnosis of Alzheimer's is a key factor for effective treatment, especially in cases of early onset Alzheimer's in young adults. Detecting the signs early on can make the difference between a more controlled life and a rapid progression of the disease. By identifying symptoms in the early stages, you have more time to make informed decisions about treatment and adapt your lifestyle to cope with the condition. Many young adults, for example, may ignore or dismiss the first signs, thinking they are just phases or stressful moments. The problem is, the longer the disease goes untreated, the more it can affect vital areas of the brain, making intervention more difficult. That's why it's so important to break this stigma and face the reality with attentive and informed eyes. Investing in an early diagnosis not only improves long-term quality of life but also opens the door to innovative treatments and daily adaptations that can help maintain independence for longer. Some lifestyle changes can help prevent or even slow the progression of early-onset Alzheimer's. The good news is that many of these actions are simple and accessible. Keeping the brain active, for example, can be one of the best ways to protect brain health. Activities like reading, solving puzzles, learning something new, or practicing memory exercises are great for stimulating the brain, keeping the mind sharp, and, on top of that, improving mood. Additionally, taking care of the body is essential. A balanced diet rich in antioxidants and omega-3 can help protect brain cells from the damage caused by premature aging. Including foods like fatty fish, berries, nuts, and leafy vegetables in your diet can bring great benefits. Another important point is the regular practice of physical activity. Exercise not only improves blood circulation but also helps release chemicals that stimulate the formation of new brain cells. Last but not least, quality sleep is essential. Sleeping well helps the brain recover and process the information acquired throughout the day. Therefore, adopting a healthy lifestyle is not just an option but an effective strategy for protecting your mind. Having a family history of Alzheimer's can be frightening, especially for young adults who are starting to notice early signs of the disease. The emotional impact of this possibility can be huge, but it's essential not to panic. The key is to seek support, both psychological and medical. By seeking out a professional, you can not only better understand the risks but also create prevention strategies that work for your specific case. If you have family members who have gone through this condition, talking about it with a specialized doctor can help identify the first signs more accurately. Additionally, being in support groups can be very valuable, as sharing experiences and practical tips can ease anxieties and even provide solutions you didn't know existed. Therapy sessions can also be an excellent way to cope with the anxiety and fear that often arise in these situations. It's natural to feel vulnerable knowing that you have a higher predisposition for a condition like Alzheimer's, but remember that knowledge and preparation can minimize the impact of the disease. In the end, knowledge is the most powerful tool you have to deal with early-onset Alzheimer's. When you understand what's happening with your body and mind, you can make more conscious and effective decisions about your health. Early diagnosis and lifestyle changes are not just preventive measures, they are transformations that can improve your quality of life and ensure that you continue living with purpose and independence. It's important to remember that although the disease is challenging, it doesn't have to define your life. Seeking information, making healthy choices, and seeking support when needed are steps that we all can take. The more you educate yourself about the disease, the more equipped you'll be to face it head-on, with confidence that you are doing everything you can to protect your mind and your future. So, if you have a family history or have already noticed any of these signs, don't hesitate to take action. The best time to start taking care of yourself is now. And by focusing on self-care and prevention, you can build a full and healthy life, even in the face of the adversities life may bring. With the right information, we can make more conscious decisions about our health and well-being. Don't underestimate the signs, even the subtlest ones, and remember, early diagnosis can be the key to maintaining your independence and quality of life. If you've noticed any of these signs in yourself or someone close to you, don't wait any longer to seek medical advice. Prevention starts with today's actions. Now, I want to hear from you. What will change in your routine after learning more about early-onset Alzheimer's? How about sharing this video with friends and family who may benefit from this information? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos on how to live in a healthy and conscious way. Let's turn knowledge into action and ensure a better future for everyone.